Let's address the noise head-on. There's a narrative circulating, fueled by a 10-19 record as of May 1st, that Dave Dombrowski is preparing to hang a for sale sign outside of Citizens Bank Park. The centerpiece of this speculation? A proposed trade sending closer Jhoan Duran to the Texas Rangers. There is just one fundamental, franchise-altering problem with that entire premise. Jhoan Duran is not a Philadelphia Philly. He has never worn the pinstripes. He is the closer for the Minnesota Twins, and a damn good one at that. The report mentioning this trade also places Seranthony Dominguez on the Chicago White Sox. He is, as we all know, in our bullpen, a key piece of the high-leverage puzzle Rob Thomson has been trying to solve for years. It even suggests Rob Thomson has been fired and replaced by Don Mattingly, which is patently false. Thomson is the manager of this club. This isn't just a minor error. It's a complete misreading of the league's landscape and this organization's DNA. It's the kind of fiction that gets clicks but ignores the reality of the 40-man roster, payroll structure, and the man running the front office. However, let's not dismiss the entire conversation because of a faulty foundation. The question is valid, even if the names are wrong. At 10-19, 11 games out in the division before the summer heat even arrives, what is the breaking point for this Phillies team? What would it take for Dave Dombrowski, a man constitutionally allergic to waving the white flag, to actually consider selling? This isn't a simple discussion about trading a player for prospects. It's a conversation about philosophy, sunk costs, and the ticking clock on a multi-hundred-million-dollar championship window. Let's start with the Dombrowski Doctrine. Dave Dombrowski did not come to Philadelphia to oversee a rebuild or a retool. He was hired to finish the job. His entire career is a testament to aggressive, top-heavy roster construction. He trades prospects for established stars, not the other way around. For him to pivot to a seller would require a collapse so catastrophic that the front office believes the core itself is broken beyond repair for the current season. A 10-19 start is abysmal, but is it that? I doubt it. He's more likely to try and trade for a solution than to sell off the parts. But for the sake of argument, let's say the slide continues. Let's say by July 1st, they're 18 games out and the wild card is a fantasy. Who would actually be on the block? We have to break the roster down into tiers. Tier 1, the untouchables. This is the franchise core, locked into long-term deals. Bryce Harper, Trea Turner, Zack Wheeler, Aaron Nola, JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber. You also place Bryson Stott and Alec Boehm here. They are young, cost-controlled, and performing. Trading any of them would signal a full-scale, multi-year teardown, and this organization simply isn't there. Their value is far greater to the Phillies than any package of prospects they would bring back. Tier 2, the high-value, difficult decisions. This is where the real conversation lies, and where a player like our actual closer, José Alvarado, would live. Alvarado is in his final year of arbitration eligibility before hitting free agency after the 2027 season, thanks to the extension he signed. He's not a rental. A contender acquiring him would get a year and a half of one of the most electric left-handed arms in baseball. Think about the value proposition. A team like the Rangers, or the Orioles, or the Dodgers would see a reliever with a 101 sinker and a wipeout cutter who is under team control for next season. The return for a player of that caliber, with that contract status, would have to be immense. We're not talking about a B-level prospect. To pry Alvarado from Dombrowski, a team would likely have to start the conversation with one of their top 5 organizational prospects and probably add another top 10-15 piece. The Phillies front office would need a package that significantly impacts the 2027 and 2028 rosters to justify weakening the 2026 bullpen, even in a lost season. Another name that inevitably comes up in these scenarios is Nick Castellanos. He's in the 5th and final year of his $100 million contract. If he's having a league average season, he becomes a classic rental bat for a contender needing a DH or corner outfield help. However, the return for a rental corner outfielder with no defensive value, his outs above average metrics have consistently been among the worst in the league, is notoriously volatile. The Phillies would likely get a mid-tier prospect, someone in the 15-20 range of a good farm system. It would be a move to clear the salary, open a roster spot for a younger player like Justin Crawford or Gabriel Rincones Jr. to get MLB reps and recoup some small future value. It's a logical move for a selling team, but it doesn't dramatically alter the farm system. Tier 3, the unlikely to move pieces. This includes players like Ranger Suarez and Christopher Sanchez. Why? Because they are cost-controlled starting pitchers performing well above their salary. Suarez is in his arbitration years, and Sanchez is on a pre-arb salary that is a massive surplus value for the club. These are the exact types of players a team holds onto, even in a down year, because they are foundational pieces for the next competitive team. You build around arms like this. You don't trade them unless you are getting a king's ransom that accelerates a rebuild by years. Then there's the bullpen. Beyond Alvarado, would they move Seranthony Dominguez? He's in the first year of a 2-year deal himself. Moving him would be about shedding the 2027 salary commitment. Gregory Soto, also in his arbitration years. Matt Strahm signed through this season with a club vesting option for 2027. Each of these arms has value, but they also represent the bullpen depth the Phillies would need to compete next year. Dombrowski would be hesitant to gut the entire relief corps. The final piece of this puzzle is the return. What would the Phillies even target? The farm system, while improving, still lacks high-end, near-majors pitching depth, especially with Andrew Painter and Mick Abel having graduated or still being question marks. Any significant trade would have to bring back a pitcher who projects as a mid-rotation starter or a high-leverage reliever. They would be looking for players who could debut in late 2027 or 2028, aligning with the next wave. They don't need more low-A lottery tickets. They need talent that is closer to contributing at the major league level. So, while the initial report about Jhoan Duran was pure fantasy, it forces us to confront an uncomfortable reality. This team, as constructed, is underperforming at a level that invites these exact questions. The path forward is not to trade a player they don't have. The path forward is for the $250 million plus payroll to start playing like it. The next 4 to 6 weeks will determine everything. If they can claw back to 500 by the All-Star break, the conversation shifts back to who Dombrowski will acquire. If they continue to lose series and fall further behind, then the difficult, realistic conversations about players like Alvarado and Castellanos will move from speculative articles to the very real calls Dombrowski will have to make. The idea of selling is a bitter pill for a fan base that tasted the World Series just a few years ago. But the reality of baseball is that no window stays open forever. The current front office's job is to know precisely when to crack it open a little wider, and when it's time to start building the frame for the next one. If you're following this team through the highs and the lows and want the real, no-nonsense analysis on the road ahead, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We'll be here tracking every move as we approach the trade deadline.